What if I told you that some of the most powerful medicines ever discovered by humankind are not locked inside a pharmaceutical laboratory? They are pressed from seeds, distilled from bark, and cold extracted from roots that have been growing on this earth for thousands of years. What if I told you that the healers of ancient Egypt, the physicians of Rome, the shamans of the Amazon, and the scholars of Persia all arrived independently at the same extraordinary conclusion, that certain oils, drawn from the natural world, could mend wounds, calm the mind, restore the body, and extend life? For centuries, this knowledge was carried in clay tablets, papyrus scrolls, and the whispered traditions of indigenous healers. Much of it was deliberately suppressed as industrial medicine rose to prominence, but it never disappeared. Today, we are going to restore that knowledge, one oil at a time. We have compiled 20 of the most remarkable healing oils ever used by ancient civilizations. Each one has a documented history, a measurable scientific basis, and a practical application you can bring into your home, your garden, or your homestead right now. Stay with us until the end, because number 7 was considered so sacred in ancient Egypt that it was sealed inside the tombs of pharaohs. And number 17, at one point in human history, it was worth more than gold by weight. Let us begin. Olive oil, Olea europaea. We begin with the elder statesman of healing oils, a substance so revered that ancient Greeks called it liquid gold, and Homer himself referred to it as the elixir of the gods. Olive oil. Its origins trace back over 6,000 years to the Mediterranean basin, where Phoenician and Minoan cultures pressed wild olive fruit long before the concept of organized medicine existed. Egyptian physicians used it as a base for medicinal salves. Greek athletes anointed their entire bodies with it before competition. Roman soldiers carried it as part of their standard field medical kit. Scientifically, we now understand why. Extra virgin olive oil contains a phenolic compound called oleocanthal, which functions as a natural anti-inflammatory agent with a mechanism strikingly similar to ibuprofen, but without the gastric side effects. Research published in the journal Nature confirmed that regular consumption of high-quality olive oil is associated with significant reductions in cardiovascular disease risk, and its antioxidant profile is among the richest of any plant-derived fat. On the homestead, an olive tree planted today will produce fruit for centuries. In temperate or Mediterranean climates, a small grove of 5 to 10 trees can yield enough oil for a family's annual culinary and medicinal needs. Apply it topically to dry or cracked skin, use it as a base for herbal-infused medicine oils, or consume 2 tablespoons daily for cardiovascular support. But we are just getting started. Frankincense oil, Boswellia sacra. Long before it was known as a gift carried by wise men, frankincense was the cornerstone of ancient healing traditions stretching from the Arabian Peninsula to the temples of ancient Egypt. The Ebers Papyrus, one of the oldest medical documents ever discovered, dating to approximately 1550 BCE, lists frankincense resin as a treatment for inflammation, infections, and even tumors. Its essential oil, steam distilled from the hardened resin of the Boswellia tree, contains compounds called boswellic acids, which modern research has identified as potent inhibitors of the enzyme 5-lipoxygenase, a key driver of inflammatory disease. Clinical trials have explored its application in conditions ranging from arthritis to inflammatory bowel disease, with results that consistently validate what ancient healers already knew. On the homestead, Boswellia trees require arid, rocky soil and a warm climate, making them best suited to regions mimicking the Arabian Peninsula or East Africa. However, the resin and oil are widely available for trade. Diffuse frankincense oil for respiratory support. Apply it diluted in a carrier oil to inflame joints, or incorporate it into salves designed for wound care. Castor oil, Ricinus communis. Ancient Egyptians called the castor plant kiki, and they employed its oil for everything from eye irritations and skin conditions to using it as fuel for sacred lamps. The Ebers Papyrus references it as a remedy for hair loss, intestinal distress, and wound healing. The active compound in castor oil, ricinoleic acid, constitutes approximately 90% of the oil's fatty acid profile, and it is remarkable. Modern dermatological research has confirmed its antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties, its role in stimulating lymphatic circulation, and its capacity to accelerate wound healing by sustaining a moist tissue environment. On the homestead, the castor plant grows rapidly in warm climates and is one of the most self-sufficient plants a homesteader can cultivate, though the seeds themselves are toxic and must be handled with great care. Use cold-pressed castor oil externally, apply it as a compress to the abdomen for digestive support, massage it into the scalp to stimulate hair growth, or use it as a base for drawing salves traditionally used to pull out splinters, cysts, and infection. Neem oil, Azadirachta indica. In the ancient Sanskrit texts of Ayurvedic medicine, the neem tree is called Sarva Roga Nivarini, the curer of all ailments. For over 4,000 years, every part of the neem tree has been utilized by healers across the Indian subcontinent. Its oil, cold-pressed from the seeds, was prescribed for skin diseases, intestinal parasites, dental infections, and fever. Modern phytochemistry has identified azadirachtin and a suite of limonoids within neem oil that demonstrate antimicrobial, antifungal, antiparasitic, and even antiviral activity. Crucially, neem also acts as a powerful natural pesticide without the systemic toxicity of synthetic agricultural chemicals. On the homestead, neem thrives in tropical and subtropical climates and is one of the fastest-growing trees available to the homesteader. Beyond its medicinal applications, topical use for fungal skin conditions, diluted scalp treatments, and oral hygiene preparations, neem oil is an irreplaceable tool in organic pest management, protecting crops from aphids, mites, and fungal disease without harming pollinators. Sesame oil, Sesamum indicum. Sesame is one of the oldest oil-producing crops known to humanity, with archaeological evidence of its cultivation in the Indus Valley dating back more than 5,000 years. In Babylonian mythology, the gods drank sesame wine before creating the world. In Ayurveda, cold-pressed sesame oil forms the foundation of Abhyanga, the practice of daily self-massage for longevity and neurological health. Sesame oil is extraordinarily rich in lignans, particularly sesamin and sesamolin, which are potent antioxidants with documented effects on cholesterol metabolism, blood pressure regulation, and liver protection. Its high smoke point also makes it one of the more stable cooking oils, resistant to oxidative damage during heating. On the homestead, sesame grows in hot, dry conditions and is relatively drought-tolerant once established. Cold-press the seeds at home for a fresh, unrefined oil with maximum nutritional density. Use it in Ayurvedic oil pulling practice for oral health, apply it as a warming massage oil in winter months, or incorporate it into herbal preparations for joint care. We are 5 oils into a journey that spans 6,000 years of human healing knowledge. If you believe that real nutrition and real medicine come from the earth, not from a factory, go ahead and hit that like button. It tells us that this kind of content matters to you, and it helps us reach the people who need it most. Now, let us continue, because this next one was sealed inside the burial chambers of kings. Myrrh oil, Commiphora myrrha. Alongside frankincense, myrrh has accompanied human civilization since its earliest recorded chapters. Used by Egyptian embalmers as a preservative, prescribed in Hebrew scripture as a component of sacred anointing oil, and featured in ancient Chinese medicine as a remedy for blood stagnation and pain, myrrh's healing legacy is extraordinary in both its depth and geographic reach. Its primary bioactive compound, terpenoid cursarine, along with sesquiterpenes and furanosesquiterpenes, demonstrates antimicrobial, antifungal, and analgesic properties in contemporary research. Studies have explored myrrh's efficacy against antibiotic-resistant bacterial strains, a finding that ancient healers who relied on it to prevent wound infection would have recognized as self-evident. On the homestead, Commiphora trees require arid, rocky terrain and are best sourced as a traded resin. Dilute myrrh essential oil in a carrier and apply it to oral ulcers, infected wounds, or inflamed gum tissue. Incorporate it into wound healing salves alongside calendula and lavender. Cedar oil, Cedrus atlantica or Cedrus labani, number 7. This is the oil that was considered so sacred by the ancient Egyptians that vessels of it were placed beside the bodies of pharaohs to accompany them into the afterlife. Cedarwood oil was among the first distilled substances ever recorded in human history. Mesopotamian cuneiform tablets describe its extraction over 5,000 years ago. Ancient Egyptians used cedar oil as a primary ingredient in the mummification process, prizing its extraordinary antimicrobial and preservative properties. Hippocrates prescribed it for lung complaints. Roman physicians used it for parasite control. Its chief constituents, cedrol and hemocyaline, have been studied for their sedative effects on the central nervous system, their capacity to reduce anxiety and promote deep sleep, and their efficacy as natural insect repellents. On the homestead, cedar trees are among the most majestic and long-lived species a homesteader can plant, investments not just for one lifetime, but for generations. Use cedarwood oil in a diffuser for sleep and respiratory support, apply it diluted to the scalp for dandruff and hair health, and integrate it into natural insect-repelling preparations to protect both people and stored grain. Lavender oil, Lavandula angustifolia. Roman soldiers added lavender to their bathing water. Lavare, the Latin verb meaning to wash, is the root of its name. Ancient Greeks used it in temple purification rituals. Medieval European healers placed it in hospitals to ward off infection during plague outbreaks. The scientific basis for lavender's therapeutic reputation now occupies volumes of research literature. Linalool and linaloyl acetate, its principal compounds, act upon GABA receptors in the central nervous system, the same receptors targeted by pharmaceutical anxiolytics, producing measurable reductions in anxiety, pain perception, and insomnia. Its antimicrobial action has been confirmed against Staphylococcus aureus and E. coli. On the homestead, lavender is among the most homestead-friendly plants in existence, drought-tolerant, bee-attracting, deer-resistant, and commercially valuable. Distill your own essential oil with a simple copper alembic still. Apply it neat to minor burns and insect bites, diffuse it in sleeping quarters, or infuse it into honey for a potent soothing preparation. Black seed oil, Nigella sativa. There is a hadith in Islamic tradition that states, "In the black seed there is healing for every disease except death." This was not hyperbole, it was the conclusion of physicians who had observed the oil's effects across a lifetime of practice. Black seed oil contains thymoquinone, a compound that has attracted serious attention from modern pharmacological researchers for its anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, and immunomodulatory properties. It has been used historically across the Middle East, North Africa, and South Asia for respiratory conditions, digestive complaints, immune support, and skin disease. On the homestead, Nigella sativa is a hardy annual that grows readily in temperate climates, requiring little care. Cold press the seeds at harvest for fresh oil of maximum potency. Take 1 teaspoon daily in honey for immune support. Apply it topically for eczema and psoriasis, or use it as a respiratory oil during seasons of illness. Peppermint oil, Mentha piperita. The ancient Greeks wore mint wreaths at feasts, believing the plant sharpened the mind. Egyptian physicians recorded it in papyrus texts for digestive conditions. Japanese and Chinese herbal traditions independently recognized its cooling, analgesic, and antimicrobial properties. Menthol, peppermint's primary active constituent, acts on TRPM8 cold receptors, creating the familiar cooling sensation while simultaneously reducing pain signals. Clinical evidence supports its use in tension headache relief, irritable bowel syndrome, nausea, and nasal congestion. Its antimicrobial activity has been documented against a wide range of bacterial and fungal pathogens. On the homestead, mint is one of the most vigorous and generous plants a homesteader can cultivate. Contain it in raised beds to prevent it from colonizing your entire garden. Distill fresh leaves into essential oil, dry and brew it as a medicinal tea, or infuse fresh mint into a carrier oil for topical pain relief applications. 10 oils. 10 civilizations, 10,000 years of accumulated healing wisdom, and we are exactly halfway through. If this content is enriching your understanding of what real, sovereign health looks like, share it with someone in your circle who needs to hear it. Now let us press forward, because the next 10 are equally remarkable. Turmeric oil, Curcuma longa. Turmeric has been a cornerstone of Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine for over 4,000 years. Its rhizome, that vivid orange root, contains curcumin, one of the most studied natural anti-inflammatory and antioxidant compounds in modern pharmacology. Turmeric essential oil, however, also contains R-turmerone, which has demonstrated neuroprotective and anti-cancer properties in emerging research independent of curcumin itself. Ancient Indian healers applied turmeric oil topically for wound care, skin disease, and joint pain. It was incorporated into post-surgical preparations and used ceremonially to purify the body. On the homestead, turmeric grows prolifically in warm, humid climates with rich soil. Plant rhizomes in spring and harvest in autumn. Steam distill the fresh rhizome or infuse dried turmeric into a carrier oil for topical preparations targeting arthritic joints and inflammatory skin conditions. Rosemary oil, Salvia rosmarinus. Ancient Greeks wore rosemary garlands during examinations, believing it enhanced memory. They were not wrong. Modern research has confirmed that inhaling 1,8-cineol, rosemary's dominant compound, measurably improves cognitive performance, speed, and accuracy. Rosemary oil also demonstrates significant antimicrobial and antioxidant activity and has been used traditionally to stimulate scalp circulation for hair loss prevention. On the homestead, rosemary is a robust, drought-tolerant perennial that thrives in poor, well-drained soil. Steam distill flowering tops in summer for maximum oil yield. Diffuse during work or study. Apply diluted to the scalp 3 times weekly for hair growth support, or infuse it into apple cider vinegar as a tonic for scalp health. Oregano oil, Oreganum vulgare. Hippocrates himself used oregano oil as an antiseptic and to treat respiratory and digestive disease. Throughout medieval Europe, it was considered one of the most potent plant medicines available. In the mountainous villages of the Mediterranean, it was the frontline treatment for infections long before antibiotics existed. The compound responsible, carvacrol, has demonstrated in modern laboratory studies the ability to disrupt bacterial cell membranes, including those of antibiotic-resistant organisms like MRSA. Its antifungal activity against Candida species is also well documented. On the homestead, wild oregano is extraordinarily vigorous. It essentially grows itself once established in full sun and lean soil. Harvest before flowering for the highest essential oil content. Dilute oregano oil in a carrier before any skin application, as it is intensely concentrated. Use it during acute illness under proper guidance or incorporate it into natural sanitizing preparations for the homestead. Eucalyptus oil, Eucalyptus globulus. Indigenous Australian peoples used eucalyptus leaves medicinally for thousands of years before colonial contact, poulticing wounds, steaming the respiratory tract, and using the tree's natural antimicrobial properties to manage infection. The essential oil, first formally distilled in the 19th century, rapidly became one of the most traded medicinal oils in world history. 1,8-cineol, also called eucalyptol, is the primary compound, comprising up to 85% of the oil. It functions as a mucolytic, breaking down mucus, a bronchodilator, and a powerful antimicrobial agent. Clinical trials have confirmed its efficacy in sinusitis, bronchitis, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease management. On the homestead, eucalyptus trees grow rapidly in warm climates and can be cultivated as a managed coppice crop, cut down regularly to stimulate leafy regrowth for ongoing harvesting. Steam the leaves in a pot for inhalation therapy during respiratory illness, or integrate the oil into chest rubs alongside peppermint and lavender. Hemp seed oil, Cannabis sativa. China's earliest recorded pharmacopoeia, the Xinnong Benka Jing, compiled approximately 2,000 years ago, lists hemp seed as a medicinal food of the highest category. Hemp seed oil contains one of the most nutritionally ideal fatty acid profiles in the plant kingdom, an almost perfect 3-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids, along with all 9 essential amino acids and significant quantities of gamma-linolenic acid. It does not contain significant quantities of THC and produces no psychoactive effect. It is a functional food, not a drug. Research supports its use in reducing skin dryness and inflammation, supporting cardiovascular health, and providing foundational nutrition for brain function. On the homestead, hemp is among the most versatile crops available to the small-scale farmer. Its fiber, seeds, and leaves each serve distinct purposes. Cold-pressed hemp seed oil is best stored in dark glass and used without heat. Consume daily as a nutritional supplement, apply topically for eczema and psoriasis, or use it as a base for herbal-infused medicinal oils. 15 civilizations. 15 oils, each one carrying thousands of years of careful human observation about how the natural world heals the human body. If you are building a homestead, a pantry, or simply reclaiming your right to understand what goes into your body, this knowledge belongs to you. Drop a comment and tell us which oil you are already working with. Now let us finish strong, because number 17 is the one that altered the course of trade empires. Coconut oil. Ayurvedic texts over 3,000 years old identify coconut oil as a tridoshic substance, one that balances all 3 fundamental energies of the body. Across the Pacific, Caribbean, and tropical Asia, it has served simultaneously as food, medicine, skin protectant, and antimicrobial agent since before written records began. Lauric acid, comprising approximately 50% of coconut oil's fatty acid profile, is converted by the body into monolaurin, a compound with documented antiviral and antibacterial properties, effective against pathogens including Candida albicans and certain strains of Staphylococcus. Its medium-chain triglyceride profile provides rapid-access fuel for the brain and has been studied in the context of cognitive decline. On the homestead. In tropical climates, the coconut palm is the ultimate homestead tree, providing food, oil, fiber, building material, and medicine from a single species. For those in temperate regions, acquire virgin cold-pressed coconut oil. Use it daily in cooking, apply it as a natural dental oil-pulling agent, or use it as a base for salves and skin preparations. Spikenard oil, Nardostachys jatamansi, number 17. At the height of the Roman Empire, pure spikenard oil was worth more than gold by weight. This was the oil that Mary of Bethany poured over Jesus' feet, an act so extravagant that it provoked open outrage from those present, who calculated the bottle's value at nearly a year's wage for a common laborer. Spikenard grows only in the high-altitude Himalayan valleys of Nepal and India, above 3,000 meters. Its root contains jatamansone and nardosinone, compounds that modern research has linked to sedative, anti-anxiety, antidepressant, and anti-arrhythmic effects. Ancient Egyptian, Hebrew, Greek, Roman, and Ayurvedic traditions all record its use for calming the nervous system, promoting sleep, and healing the spirit. On the homestead. Spikenard cannot be grown in most climates, but sustainably sourced oil should be part of every serious herbal apothecary. Use it diluted in meditation and sleep preparations. Apply it to pulse points during periods of acute anxiety, or incorporate it into deeply calming massage blends designed for nervous system restoration. Clove oil, Syzygium aromaticum. Cloves were discovered in the tombs of ancient Syrian merchants, with the clove buds dating to approximately 1700 BCE, evidence of a trade route spanning thousands of miles and thousands of years. For over 2 millennia, the Molucca Islands of Indonesia were the world's only source of cloves, and controlling that supply was worth fighting wars over. Eugenol, clove oil's primary compound, remains one of the most potent natural analgesics known. Dentists still use eugenol-based preparations to manage tooth pain. Modern research has confirmed clove oil's antifungal, antiviral, and antimicrobial properties, including activity against antibiotic-resistant strains. On the homestead. Clove trees thrive in humid, tropical climates. For homesteaders in temperate regions, dried cloves distilled at home or sustainably sourced clove oil serve as essential medicine cabinet staples. Apply 1 drop diluted in a carrier oil directly to an aching tooth. Use it in natural dental preparations or incorporate it into warming winter preparations for immune support. Jojoba oil, Simonsia chinensis. Indigenous peoples of the Sonoran Desert, particularly the Oadam and Seri nations, used jojoba's liquid wax for thousands of years to treat sores, wounds, and hair loss. They understood through generations of observation that this remarkable substance behaved unlike any other oil in nature. And science has confirmed their observation. Jojoba is technically not an oil at all. It is a liquid wax ester, structurally nearly identical to the sebum produced by human skin. This is why it absorbs so completely, why it does not clog pores, and why it functions as an extraordinary vehicle for delivering medicinal compounds deep into the skin. It is also one of the most shelf-stable plant oils known. It does not go rancid. On the homestead, jojoba is among the most drought-tolerant plants on Earth. Plant it as a long-term investment in arid homestead conditions. Use the oil as a universal carrier for all herbal-infused medicine preparations, as a daily facial moisturizer for all skin types, or as a scalp conditioner for hair growth and dandruff management. Yarrow oil, Acacia millefolium. We save our final oil for the one that carries perhaps the oldest wound-healing tradition in all of human history. Acacia millefolium, yarrow, takes its genus name from Achilles himself, the great Greek hero who is said to have used the plant to staunch the bleeding of his soldiers on the battlefield. And archaeologists working at Shanidar Cave in Iraq discovered that Neanderthals 60,000 years ago appeared to have been buried with yarrow among other medicinal plants, suggesting that this herb's healing role predates Homo sapiens civilization entirely. Yarrow essential oil, deep blue in color due to chamazoline formed during steam distillation, contains achillene, camphor, and borneol, compounds that promote blood clotting, reduce inflammation, fight infection, and ease muscle spasm. It has been used consistently across every major civilization that encountered it: Greek, Roman, Chinese, Native American, and European medieval. On the homestead. Yarrow is one of the easiest medicinal plants to grow, a hardy perennial that thrives in poor soil, full sun, and minimal water, returning year after year with extraordinary generosity. Keep dried yarrow at hand to pack into wounds when professional medical care is unavailable. Distill the flowering tops into essential oil for your herbal apothecary. It is in many ways the perfect homestead medicine, ancient, reliable, and grown right outside your door. Now, we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us, which of these 20 oils are you teaming up with? Which one are you growing, distilling, or adding to your homestead apothecary this season? If this video reached you at exactly the right moment, share it with someone who is ready to hear it. And if you are building the kind of life where you take responsibility for your own health, your own land, and your own knowledge, subscribe and stay with us, because there is so much more to uncover. Until next time, grow something, learn something, and take care of each other.